The last drawing Lily ever made was still on the kitchen table. A vibrant, chaotic unicorn with a crooked horn, sketched in her favorite purple crayon. She'd been so proud of it, her little face beaming as she explained that its magic power was to make sad people happy. I traced the waxy outline with a finger that wouldn't stop shaking. The unicorn wasn't working. Its magic was gone, just like her. Tomorrow I had to stand in front of a room of people and talk about a life that spanned only a decade, 10 years. It felt like a blink in an eternity all at once. The words wouldn't come. How do you summarize a sunbeam? How do you eulogize your own heart? The silence in the house was a physical weight, pressing down on my chest. I needed to hear a voice, a familiar one. I needed the person who was supposed to be my anchor. I picked up my phone and dialed my mother's number. She answered with a sigh, not of sympathy, but of weary impatience. "Jessica, I was just about to call you. I hope you're not still dwelling on tomorrow." Dwelling? The word was so cold, so clinical. "Mom, I'm falling apart. I can't write her eulogy. I need you. Please, just be here with me. I can't face that cemetery alone." "Darling, we talked about this," she said, her voice dripping with a condescending sort of calm, the kind she used when I was a child throwing a tantrum. "That trip is non-refundable. $14,000. Your sister has been working so hard, she deserves this break. Funerals are for the living, and frankly, it's not healthy to wallow. We need to celebrate life, not this." "Celebrate life?" I whispered, the unicorn on the page blurring through my tears. "Her life just ended. She was your granddaughter, Mom. She kept your picture by her bed. And we'll remember her by living our lives to the fullest, which is what she would want. We'll light a candle for her on the beach. You need to be strong and handle this. It's time to be an adult." She hung up before I could reply. Handle this, as if bearing your child was an errand, an unpleasant task to be checked off a list. My hope curdled into a tight, aching knot in my stomach. I immediately called my dad, praying he would be the voice of reason. "Hey, Pumpkin," he answered, his voice unnaturally cheerful. "Dad, you have to talk to her," I begged, the tears flowing freely now. "I don't care about the money. I'll pay it back. I just can't be alone tomorrow. Please, Dad, for Lily." There was a long pause, filled with the static of his cowardice. "Now, listen," he started, his voice lowering conspiratorially. "Your mother's got her heart set on this for your sister. You know how she gets. Let's not rock the boat. It's just awful timing, that's all. We're so proud of how strong you're being. You don't need us there to hold your hand. You've got this." It's just bad timing. My daughter's death was a scheduling conflict? I couldn't breathe. "She's not a boat to be rocked, Dad. She was a little girl." But he had already started talking about sending a wreath. I ended the call, my hand clenched so tight around the phone that the plastic groaned. One last chance. My sister, Chloe, the golden child for whom the world must always bend. She picked up, the sound of pop music blaring in the background. "Hey, can't talk long, trying to see if these new sandals fit. What's up?" "Chloe, please," I choked out, all pretense of strength gone. "She was your niece. She adored you. How can you be packing for a vacation when I'm picking out her coffin? Don't leave me alone." There was a huff of annoyance. "Oh my God, don't lay a guilt trip on me. It's not my fault this happened. Mom said you were being dramatic. Look, this trip is for my mental health. I need it. Lily would have wanted me to be happy. I'll post a really nice photo of the sunset for her, okay? Gotta go." The line went dead. I stared at the phone in my hand, then at the half-finished unicorn on the table. They weren't just skipping a funeral. They were actively erasing her. wiping away the inconvenience of her death so they could get back to their perfect, happy lives. In that moment, the grief in my chest didn't disappear, but something else grew beside it. A cold, hard resolve that felt as sharp and clear as broken glass. They wanted to celebrate life. Fine. But I would make damn sure they would one day understand what it felt like to be left behind in the dark. The day of the funeral was a blur of muted colors and suffocating sympathy. I stood by the impossibly small, white casket, holding a single purple hyacinth, Lily's favorite. Kind-faced teachers from her school told me stories I'd never heard. Her friends gave me tear-stained drawings of unicorns, and neighbors I barely knew held my arm, murmuring condolences. But the front pew, the one meant for family, remained a cavernous, empty space. It was a void that screamed louder than any eulogy. I kept picturing them there, not as they were, but as they should have been, holding my hand. Instead, my mind conjured a grotesque image of them on a sun lounger, tanned and laughing, raising a toast while my world was being lowered into the cold, dark earth. The shame was a physical blow, a hot flush that crawled up my neck. I wasn't just grieving my daughter. I was humiliated that her own blood relatives had publicly branded her memory as worthless. After everyone had left, I stayed, tracing the fresh letters of her name on the temporary marker. The promise I made to her then was one of fire and rage, but of ice and memory. I would not let them forget. I would become the ghost at their feast. 3 weeks later, they returned. There was no call, no knock on the door, just a long, rambling voicemail from my mother. Her voice was serene, almost saintly. She spoke of their trip not as a vacation, but as a necessary spiritual journey to process their own unique and profound grief. She described how the turquoise water was a healing balm for her soul, and talked about how watching the sunset allowed her to connect with Lily's energy on a cosmic level. It was a masterpiece of self-serving delusion. As if that wasn't enough, Jessica posted a photo album online. The title was Finding Light in the Darkness. It was a gallery of smiling selfies, clinking margarita glasses, and scenic vistas. The final, gut-wrenching photo was of them holding a single paper lantern, faces artfully somber, with the caption, "Releasing our little angel, Lily, back to the stars. We feel you with us." The public performance, the sheer audacity of turning their betrayal into a spiritual spectacle, broke something in me. This wasn't just negligence. It was a calculated campaign to rewrite history, with them as the gracefully grieving heroes. I saved every screenshot of every photo, every hollow caption. Then, I began to build my fortress. I blocked my mother's number, then my father's, then Jessica's. I went through my social media and methodically removed them, the digital equivalent of severing a limb. When a thick, cream-colored sympathy card arrived in the mail, signed with their flourishing, meaningless signatures, I didn't open it. I wrote, "Return to sender, deceased," on the envelope and dropped it in the mailbox. Each action was a brick in the wall I was building around myself and Lily's true memory. The silence that followed was terrifying at first, but then it became peaceful. It was a clean, cold silence, devoid of their excuses and performances. For the first time since she was gone, I could finally begin to grieve. Months bled into one another. The seasons changed, but the cold silence from my end remained absolute. The fortress held. Eventually, they tried to find a crack. It came in the form of a call from my Aunt Carl, my mother's sister. She was their chosen messenger, her voice oozing with a practiced, gentle concern. "Honey, your mother is worried sick. She cries every night. She doesn't understand what she's done. You're tearing this family apart with your anger." I let the accusation hang in the air, a foul odor. When I finally spoke, my voice was devoid of emotion. There is no family to tear apart, Carl. A family would have been there. A family wouldn't have been sipping cocktails while I buried my daughter. They burned that bridge and posted pictures of the ashes online. Please tell them that Lily's funeral was lovely and that she was surrounded by people who actually loved her, and then lose this number. The click of the phone hanging up was one of the most satisfying sounds I had ever heard. That call clarified everything. It wasn't my absence that hurt them. It was their image. My silence was creating a narrative they couldn't control, and that was their weakness. Their reputation was the only thing they truly valued, and I decided right then to turn it into my weapon. My revenge wouldn't be a screaming match. It would be a quiet, public dismantling of the lie they lived by.